Good morning, everyone. My name is my name is Grace Smith, and there's a possibility you might have seen me as one of the acolytes in these past few years with my siblings, Hazel and Matthew, who are actually acolyting today. But actually, these past few years, that's about as long as I've been involved here in this church. Because I'm gonna let you in on a secret, I was actually baptized Lutheran, not Episcopalian. I attended a Lutheran preschool, and my family and I spent the next 10 years as active members of that church. I was even halfway through the 2-year confirmation process there when COVID-19 hit, which, as we all know, halted everything. Our family stopped going to church. Even when the world opened up again, we knew we wanted to find a different church, but we were never able to fully commit. Lucky for us, God knew exactly how we were going to find our way back. I'm sure many of you know Olivia St. Antoine, and if you don't, she's the one who will be speaking next, but she's actually been one of my best friends since 5th grade. And she and her family are the reason that I'm here today. Throughout the time where my family and I didn't have a church, and even when we did, Olivia invited me to attend youth events with Holy Trinity, come to services with her family after a sleepover, and volunteer at Vacation Bible School. So naturally, when the time came for my family to find a church, I suggested Holy Trinity. After taking some time to get over the fact that it was almost a half hour away from us, we visited in the fall of 2022 and became members very soon after. My past 3 years here have been wonderful. I was finally able to be confirmed in just a few short weeks. I've been participating in the service as an acolyte for the past few years, and I've attended countless coffee hours. More importantly, though, I've come to love coming to church. I'm happy to dedicate my Sunday mornings to God and the community I have here, rather than dreading to have to wake up early one extra day of the week. I've loved attending youth group in between services and participating in events such as the lock-in we had earlier this year. Some of my other fond memories come from helping out with VBS, and I can't wait to come back and do that throughout my summer breaks as a college student. I'm also particularly excited that my sister and I get to go to Camp Canoga in North Carolina this year with the youth group. It's my first and last time at a sleepaway camp. And now, to steal the answer my sister Hazel gave to the bishop when he asked what her favorite part of this church was, I especially love the sermons. Listening to Father RJ and DJ's sermons is something I now look forward to each week, rather than the portion of the service I hated sitting through as a kid. Part of that is thanks to Father RJ's pop culture references, even though, in my opinion, there's a severe lack of Taylor Swift references. But one of the greatest lessons I've learned throughout the past few years, one which has been touched on in their sermons many times, is that God's plan for you is entirely different from the one you might have envisioned. However, no matter how many times you hear it, it's still hard for it to sink in. This is something I had to learn for the first time in 5th grade when my plans for middle school were disrupted after I didn't get to go to the school I had hoped. I was heartbroken to be separated from most of my friends, as well as the fact that it was my first real rejection. But, as always, God knew best. If I hadn't gone to the school where I ended up, I might not have gotten as close to Olivia, and maybe my family wouldn't have found a home at this church. That school is also where I met another one of my best friends, and I cannot imagine my life without either of them. It's also possible that if I had gone to a different school, I might not have ended up at the high school I will be graduating from in 8 days. Florida Atlantic University High School. Yes, FAU has a high school. For the past 3 years, I've been fully dual enrolled through FAU, taking college courses with college students on the college campus. This school has been such an amazing experience for the past 4 years, introducing me to more great friends and also incredible opportunities. God knew that that was the path my life needed to take way before I did. So I came to realize that He knew best, and I would always end up where I was supposed to. Yet, even after learning this lesson, I was quick to forget it. In the past year, I had a plan for where I wanted to attend college. But of course, what did I know? In a major turn of events, which my family, friends, and I never saw coming, I will be attending Florida State University as a member of their honors program in the fall. I am majoring in biology, minoring in Spanish and child development, as well as working towards a master's degree in biological sciences. Then it's off to medical school on my path to becoming a pediatrician. I'm not at FSU yet, but I know that is where I'm supposed to be because God knows best. So, although I had to relearn it, one of my most steadfast beliefs now is to trust in God and His plan for me. Although I think I know where I should be, I'm usually wrong. What we want is often not what we need, and even though it takes time for us to understand these things, God doesn't need us to understand right away. So, as Taylor Swift once said, I'm just a girl trying to find a place in this world. But, thankfully for me, I have someone who knows exactly what my place is. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Many of you know me from seeing me around church as an acolyte or seeing me with the youth group, but if you don't know me, my name is Olivia Antoine. I'm a graduating senior from William T. Dwyer High School, and this fall I'll be studying English at the University of Florida to kickstart my dream of becoming an environmental lawyer. A couple weeks ago, DJ and RJ reached out to me and asked if I wanted to speak at the senior graduation service today and say a couple words about what Holy Trinity means to me. My answer to them was of course, but as I began writing what I was going to say, I found it hard to fit all of my big feelings in just a short speech. Holy Trinity has been a part of my life before I even knew. 17 years ago, my parents and the Daughters of the King had been praying for 2 years for my arrival to the congregation and to my family. And 17 years ago, my parents adopted me from China. Though I don't remember anything from my life there, my parents made sure to tell me the most important story of their trip. They only got to spend 5 minutes with my Chinese foster parents, but the women who had been raising me risked their life to make my parents promise that I would grow up in the church and knowing God. Ever since I can remember, I have been attending church every Sunday, and growing up, I saw it as an obligation. Waking up early on the weekends, having to get dressed up in frilly dresses and little Mary Jane shoes, being the first one to leave sleepovers on Sunday mornings, and sitting through what felt like hours of lectures. However, maturing into middle school, around 13 or 14 years old, I was exposed to a lot more of the area around me and realized that not every kid was as lucky as I was of having the luxury of coming to church every Sunday with their family and being a part of such a special community. In February of 2020, the priest I'd known my entire life had finally retired, and RJ stepped into his place. I was unsure how to feel about this change, but I came to learn that it was the best thing that could have happened to our church. During the COVID-19 lockdown, I watched every sermon that RJ put out and really found myself connecting to the church so deeply. After the lockdown, I started to come back to church, and not only did I come back, but I was able to introduce my best friend Grace and her family into the church as well, where they have all become involved members. I want to thank RJ, DJ, and JD for making my entire high school faith experience one that I would never forget. Instead of my parents having to drag me out of bed every Sunday morning, I started to get up myself and would even attend services without them. Though I wasn't able to go to the same high school as Grace, Sunday mornings were something special that we got to share throughout high school. I also want to thank Mason and Elizabeth Brown for making my childhood the best it could be. There weren't too many families here back when I was in Sunday school, but I'm glad that the ones that were here, the Wards, the Choses, and the Jetties, got to be a part of the early Holy Trinity days with me. Mason and Elizabeth helped to build my faith foundation from the time I was 3 until I was about 12, from letting me into VBS way too early to spending every Sunday afternoon and December weekends practicing with the children's choir. This church has done more for me than I can even express, pushing me so far into my faith journey that I've connected with so many people all over the country through online faith groups and social media, including now one of my closest friends that I met, Katie. Not only did it allow me to connect with new people, but during my college decision journey, I would ask tour guides or my parents about the nearest churches in the faith community in the area. I have so many feelings of gratitude that I can attribute to this church, and I'm so lucky that I got to be a part of it for such a long time. To the next generation of youth, I want to say, enjoy your time that you have here, because this church is like nothing else. And to the parents of the next generation, keep your kids involved, get them to become acolytes, take them to youth group and Sunday school, and they'll thank you for it later. A special thank you to RJ and DJ for letting me get up here and say the speech I've been planning since I was 7 years old. Thank you to the Altar Guild, the Vestry, and the Acolyte organizers for keeping the church a beautiful place that it is. And especially thank you to Holy Trinity for an amazing 18 years.
All right, I wasn't going to do this, but I am going to do it because I actually am going to mention Taylor Swift this morning. I mentioned her at 7:30. I'm going to mention her at 11. So I'll give you the crib note version of the sermon I gave, which I think actually is, I don't know, I hope is helpful. So the readings today are partially about betrayal. They're about people who betray God, right? Peter, as we know, on the night that Jesus was arrested, Peter gets asked 3 times, don't you know that guy? Aren't you one of his disciples? Weren't you with him? And Peter 3 times betrays Jesus. He says, no, I don't know him. I've never met him. Quit talking about him. He betrays his best friend. He betrays the man that he thought was God until the moment when when Jesus is arrested. And then Saul, of course, this other figure, also betrays God, although he doesn't know it, right? He thinks that Jesus is a blasphemer and that all Christians are worshiping a false god. And so Saul, where are my graduating seniors? 2 here, 1 there. Where's everybody else? I want to see you. Oh, there we go. Hello. Saul's going around the world killing Christians and trying to stamp out Jesus. He thinks he's serving God. He thinks he's on God's side, but comes to find out that he's actually betraying God. And so he's on the road to Damascus going to kill some Christians, and this blinding light happens, and he's thrown to the ground, and he hears this voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And Saul says, who are you, Lord? And then he hears the most unexpected reply. And the voice says, from heaven, God's voice says, it's me, Jesus, whom you are persecuting. So we have Peter who's betrayed Jesus. We have Saul who's kind of betrayed Jesus and betrayed God. And so what does God do? Because honestly, when someone betrays me, it ain't pretty, right? I don't ever want to think about them. I don't ever want to talk about them. I fantasize about ways to get back at them. And Jesus has the opportunity to do that, to come back to Peter and be like, well, Peter, you had a shot and you blew it, you're out. Or to say to Saul, yeah, you thought you were on my side, but you've been killing me, so now I'm going to kill you. But that's not what he does. He says to Saul, go into the city, and I'll show you what to do. And Saul becomes Paul, who is arguably the most influential, consequential author in the history of the world. He wrote about 1/3 of the New Testament, and he goes all around the world telling Jews and Gentiles and men and women and rich and poor and slave and free all about Jesus until he gets executed in Rome, beheaded by Caesar for his undying faith. So Jesus loves Paul and forgives Paul and calls Paul to be his servant. And he does the same thing with Peter, where he shows up on that beach, he cooks some breakfast. Jesus cooks Peter breakfast. Did you catch that? And Peter doesn't say a word because he knows that he and Jesus have some unfinished business. But after breakfast, Jesus turns to Peter and he says to him very significantly, not once, not twice, but 3 times, because that's how many times Peter denied him, Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And Peter says, yes. And Jesus says, feed my sheep, care for my lambs, tend my people. And that's what Peter does. He becomes a bold proclaimer of Jesus' death and resurrection, that he is God, that he's the name by which we should be saved, both in Jerusalem, where Jesus was crucified, and outside Jerusalem. And he too loses his life. He's crucified in Rome, although he requests to be crucified upside down. Have you seen that Caravaggio painting? Because he's not worthy. He says, I'm not worthy to be killed in the same way that Jesus was. Oh, by the way, here's how Taylor Swift comes up. You know this. There's a Spotify playlist called Taylor Swift Songs About Revenge and Betrayal. It's 22 songs long. You probably could name all of those songs, right? Maybe Matthew too, maybe not so much. Sorry, Matthew, this is for them. So what I want to say to you is you're going to college. You are going to make some mistakes. My seminary dean used to say, you go to college in order to make mistakes. Now, your parents don't want to hear that. But my guess is they made some mistakes in college too. And I made some mistakes in college too. And there may be times in the next 4 years or the next 10 years when you when you betray God, when you do something you never thought you would do, you sin in a way you never thought you would, and you may wonder to yourself, is God done with me? Have I betrayed him so much that he wants nothing to do with me? Am I still a Christian? Is he still on my side? Am I still on his side? And the message of today's readings and the message of our lives is that we all betray God. None of us is what we ought to be. We all deny him, we forget him, we disobey him in word and action. And while we may find ourselves betraying God, betraying Jesus, Jesus will never, ever, ever betray you. Ever. There is nothing you can do to separate yourselves from his love. Because his love for you is not dependent on anything you do or don't do. He just loves you. It's one-way, unconditional love. He died for you and he rose again and he's with you every day of your life, whether you know it or not, whether you're facing him or not. And so I want you to remember that Jesus is always on your side no matter what you do, just like he was on Peter's side and Paul's side. And more to the point, this church, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, this church will always be your home. And so I hope and pray that you find a place wherever you're going to college that will remind you of that over and over again, that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. I'm a sinner, you're a sinner, I'm ungodly, you're ungodly, I betray God, you betray God. Jesus died for you and for me. Find a place that reminds you of that. And if you ever, if you ever forget, I just hope you remember, there was one guy one time who told me that Jesus loved me no matter what. I hope you remember that, and that you, I'm excited for your future, and I'm proud of you guys, and we love you, and we'll be with you, and anything you need, you let us know, okay? Amen.